Hi, good evening, all of you. Hi, good evening, all of you. Hope you are able to view me. Hope you are able to see the screen, and you are able to get my voice. I am audible to all of you. Please confirm in the chat box. Okay. So I will start introduction about the session. Meantime, you please confirm in the comment section or chat box that yes, I am audible and you are able to view the screen and you are able to view me also. Okay. So today we are discussing about the gap analysis and remediation in pharmaceuticals. The point is, this point is somewhat specular with respect to the current requirements and current expectations by most of the regulators specifically. When the companies got the observation or the negative observations, then at that time the company starts evaluating about the gap analysis and all. But most of the companies, I found out that they don't focus on the proactive approach, means before getting the observations by the the regulators. So as an introduction, I will share whatever the screen it is appearing. Below I put some information about the gaps and all, so I just collected that and make it in the large form so that you will able to get a bit bigger idea about the gaps. Hope you are able to view the screen and everything. Okay. So yeah, thank you Mr. Suresh, thank you so much for confirming the everything is okay and all. So as an introduction, I just want to tell you that when we are evaluating the current state, we need to evaluate the current state in line with some regulatory requirements or the guidelines, and we have to evaluate whether it is compliant to the requirements or not. And then once we implement the compliance actions or we implement the action plan, then this is what the expected state by the all the regulators. If we not perform the gap analysis of the organization or any manufacturing facility means it includes warehouse, quality control, engineering, quality assurance, all the departments, all the departments. So the point here is the company, when they are they are not performing the gap audit and all, they may likely to get the observations like FDA 483 or FDA warning letter or some non-conformity observations, etc. So there are two ways, the most of the companies perform the gap analysis. One is a proactive approach where the company thinks that yes, we need to upgrade ourselves. Maybe in future the FDA or any regulatory agency like EU or other TGA or Anvisa for Brazil, so many different regulatory agencies are there. So that if the regulatory agency inspection is expected, the company wants to evaluate their own system, practices, procedures, and as a result of that, the gap evaluation or gap identification is done, and based on the gap identification, the action plan is prepared and it is implemented to fill that gaps, so that whatever the regulatory agency expectations are there, that will be fulfilled and we will get the approval from that regulatory agency. So this is a proactive approach. But some companies, they follow the reactive approach. So you decide when you whether you want to do the proactive approach or the reactive approach. Reactive approach is what? Some companies get the FDA 483 or warning letters or any non-conformity observations and all, and then as an action plan, they hire a consultant, third party agent, they perform the gap audit, identify the action plan, they implement the action plan, and then they share this all information to the FDA as a compliance action or CAPA. So you decide whether you want to do the proactive approach or the reactive approach. You need to decide. But the point here is the most of the company are nowadays still they are going with the reactive approach and not the proactive approach. I always suggest all companies to do the gap inspections or gap audit before much before, maybe the 1 year or before minimum, or maybe at least 9 months before to inspection, they need to do the gap audit. See, let me clear one thing. Gap inspections or gap audit and mock audits are different. Gap audit are nothing but evaluation of all the practices, procedures, systems and everything. While the mock audit will be just like as a regulatory inspections. The inspector will come, they will interrogate or they will interview with the subject matter experts, they will check the documents as per the specified agenda and they will give the observations. Mock audit is just to make people aware that how the inspection will be conducted by the inspector and how they should behave during the inspection and how they need to respond and all. So that way they will be prepared with respect to the mock audit, or you can say they will prepared mentally to face the main inspection or the main regulatory inspection. While the gap inspection is to prepare whole of company manufacturing site compliance to the regulatory requirements or specific regulatory requirements. That is a gap audit, where it will be identifying different weaknesses of the company or organizations. Like organization, when I am using the word, it is nothing but the manufacturing facility. So identifying the weakness of the facility and based on that prepare the action plan, and then the plan need to be implemented, and so that way the remediation will be there. So today we are discussing here with respect to the gap inspection, and after the gap inspection what are the key points with respect to the inspection and what is the action plan or remediation action plan, that we are going to discuss today. So I hope this is the brief for the today's introduction, and let us start our today's discussion on gap audit or gap inspection. Okay, so what are we going to discuss? So importance of the topic and agenda. So that is what I discuss with you. Know your trainer. So there will be some slides about the trainer. Understanding the gaps identification with the regulatory guidelines. So there are some guideline expectations also. So I will touch upon some guideline expectations. 7 tips to identify the gaps. So there are some tips to identify the gaps in the organization, and keys in implementation of action plan. So there are a lot of slides with respect to identifying the gaps. Of course this topic is very brief. If I am conducting this training for gap audit and how to perform gap audit and all, it may require minimum 2 days, to be very frank. But I feel that some information you should aware and you should able to take the actions. So that is the reason I collected all the information in about 1 hour session. Okay, so hope this will be helpful for all of you. So I collected the 7 tips to identify the gaps. Of course there are so many other tips also, like SWOT audit, SWOT inspections and all, so many priority identifications and all, so many tools are there, but I preferably focus on the key important things. So that is the reason I am focusing here. Then I will discuss about the keys in implementation of action plan. So action plan implementation is not just give the the CAPA report or prepare the CAPA report and implement it. So what are the keys in implementing the action plan? The reason is we are preparing for the regulatory inspections, and for that purpose we are performing the gap audit. Please remember this. So that is the reason some keys we need to focus here. Or as a reactive approach, we are performing the gap evaluation. For example, if any company got the warning letter with respect to the data integrity, or a company got the warning letter with respect to the cross contamination, or any other observation, and with respect to that they got the warning letter. So with respect to the organization point of view, what need to develop at the management level, at the plant level, at the senior level, senior leadership team level, at the down the line people level, that we need to identify and we need to prepare the action plan. Hope you got my point. So this is called the remediation action plan. After that we will have the question answer session. So I request all people to put your questions in the chat box, and I will respond to your all the questions. And after that there will be the vote of thanks and contact details sharing. So this is the overview. Today's agenda is very short and sweet. The reason is there are a lot of discussions under within the only 2-3 points. One is the guideline requirement, second is tips to identify the gaps, and third is the remediation action plan. Okay, and hope I am not that much of fast. If you feel that I am fast, you can reduce the speed in the YouTube, because this is already running in the YouTube. So about me, sorry, I forgot to tell you my name. My name is Hitendra Kumar Shah. I am a CGMP compliance consultant, trainer and auditor from NADH plus GXP compliance services. I am having more than 23 years of experience in a pharma. This is brief about me. I will not put my more time here. I have audited more than 500 sites till date and trained more than, I have written, here it is written 3000 candidates, but maybe more than 10,000 candidates I might have trained, because since last 15 years I am providing the trainings. And so many times I face regulatory inspections and all. About my work experience, I started my career with Sun Pharma, then I work in Blue Cross Laboratories, I work in Alembic Pharma, I was a compliance head in the Zadus Cadila, taking care of compliance. I work in US Vitamins as a quality head. I work in some multinationals also. I work in AstraZeneca. I work in Sanofi. I work in a Mylan. These are some of my major work experience, and since last about 6 years I am working as an independent CGMP compliance consultant, trainer and auditor from NADH plus GXP services. And I just want to share the information that the NADH GXP compliance services is the registered organization under the government of India. Okay, so our organization is registered under government of India by the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises under the unique registration number. So the government of India has given the unique registration number, and this is the unique registration number to our organization, that is NADH GXP compliance services. And Hitendra Kumar Shah, myself, I am the approved trainer by the government of India. So government of India has provided me the approval as a trainer for the society, and with that head, the government of India has provided the unique trainer number, that is a TP whatever 231534. Okay, so this is the number given by the government of India, that I am the approved trainer by the government of India. So this is just for your information. And before moving, this is the disclaimer that whatever I collected this information, it is from the internet guidelines and webs and all, and the purpose of this is to make you aware about the topic and learning purpose. Okay, so if you want to implement, you need to refer the expectations of the regulatory guidelines and all, but currently whatever I am providing the training sessions and all, it is in line with the guideline expectations. Because now if you ask me about today's topic, the gap analysis and remediation, most of the warning letters will have this type of wordings, that you need to have a detailed remediation plan and share the detailed remediation plan to control the non-conformity observations in your organization. So this way the FDA is also insisting to have a remediation plan. So please this training as a learning session. And let us start our today's discussion on the topic gap analysis and remediation in pharmaceuticals. And this is the guideline requirements in PICS guidelines. So this is what I put here. So whatever I am putting in the PICS guideline or other guideline, it is exactly copy and paste from the guideline. Please understand this. Okay, hope you are able to see the screens, right? Perfect. Today everything is okay now. Very good. Absence of data governance system may indicate uncoordinated data integrity systems with potential for gaps in control measures. Data quality and integrity should be familiar to all, but data quality experts from various levels, subject matter experts, supervisor, team leaders, may be called upon to work together to conduct or support investigations, identify the system's gaps, and drive implementation of improvements. So you need to identify the gaps in the system. Okay, so here one point I just want to clarify here, that it is recommended by PICS that subject matter experts, supervisors and team leaders should be collected and they should identify the gaps and all. But my dear friends, if you ask me personally, the gap identification I always suggest to do by the external third party. because your your subject matter experts or the local team members are already involved in the self inspections or internal audits, so they are identifying the observations and you are taking the action plans and all. But you need some specific third party evaluation where the third eye view is required. So this is my personal opinion. See, since last 5.5 or 6 years I am an independent compliance consultant, but before that I was also working in the pharma companies, and that time also my thought was the same. Always remember, I am not telling this today being as a consultant, but before that when I was working in the pharma at the quality head positions or the senior positions, that time also my thought was the same, that the gap evaluation or gap audit should be done from the third parties. Okay, but this is a guideline requirement, so I am just sharing the information. Okay, and very important thing, it is important to determine the extent of the problem as well as its root cause, then correcting the issue to its full extent and implement preventive measures. This may include the use of a third party for additional expertise or perspective, which may involve a gap assessment to identify weakness in the system. This is clearly copy and paste from the guideline, my dear friend. Okay, so please understand this. So I just gone through that, and even the PICS also recommend that you can take the support from the external third party, so that additional with the additional expertise and their perspective. Because what happened, the when you are discussing about the third party, or when the external third parties or the consultants, they are visiting multiple sites, so they have seen the so many sites failure and so many sites success. So based on that, they can even suggest a better way to identify the weaknesses and to better way to implement some action plan. And even it is recommended by the PICS also. So I thought that to share with you. And there is a W requirement also. Data integrity risk assessment. So we need to perform the data integrity risk assessment, the process to map out the procedures, systems and other components that generate or obtain data to identify and assess risks and implement appropriate controls to prevent or minimize lapses in the integrity of the data. So my point here is, you have to map all the procedures, systems and other components that generate the data, and you need to evaluate. So it is nothing but the gap evaluation. So when you map the process, systems and all, you will able to how you can map, by performing the gap evaluation. So you can evaluate the complete process, systems and practices here. Okay, so this is what about some guideline requirements, and now straightway we will start our today's discussion. And today's discussion topic is the gap audit. So the first point with respect to this is the guideline requirement that already we discussed, and now we will discuss about the 7 tips. So there are 7 tips to for conducting the gap audit. Okay, so let us discuss on the 7 tips for the gap audit. And the first tip is, gap analysis should always with reference to the guideline requirements. Very clear, I am telling you, very clear. Gap analysis should always with reference to the guideline requirement, because whatever you are supposed to get the observations by the regulatory agency cannot give the observations just by their mind or their thought level. They need to refer the guideline, and with respect to the specific clause, they need to evaluate your compliance during the inspection. So the gap audit, when you are performing, it should be in line with the reference to the guideline requirement. I have seen so many the people who are doing the gap audit, so they give some observations, and if asked why we need to do this, the answer is, yes, in my previous organization we were having the same procedure, or in that particular company they are following this practice, so we need to also follow this practice. My dear friend, this is not the correct way to perform the gap audit. Okay, because each company is the manufacturing facility, has their own systems, practices, procedures, they have their own strength and weaknesses, and based on that they develop their quality systems. So if the one quality system or one procedure is good for that particular organization, That may not be good in your organization. That may not be fit suitable in your organization. Try to understand this. Please understand. So the benefit of the reference is not only with the guideline title but with the exact guideline requirement. Yeah, this also that is the reason I put the points here, bullet points. Uh, you know, uh, and yes, I forgot to tell one point is, if you need a training presentation copy, please put in the chat box or comment section. I will share the link. From the link you can download the training presentation. Okay. So second point is what I want to tell you here is with respect to the gap analysis. When you are identifying the gap, you need to specify guideline title, from which guideline you are giving this non-conformity observations or gap, with the exact guideline statement. Means what is the guideline expectation statement, word to word. So this is the expectation of the guideline and you are following this practice. Hope you got my point. So exact guideline requirements, but many companies fail to give the exact guideline observation with respect to the exact guideline requirements. Why? Because this activity requires a lot of understanding in the depth level, understanding of the guidelines in the depth level. To be very frank, I am telling you. And if if you tell somebody that these are the 10 observations and identify the guideline requirements, exact guideline requirements, and the guideline title guideline, so they may give the title of the guideline. For example, if some problem is happened, something happens, so they can simply say, yeah, this is the data integrity requirement, data integrity non-compliance, or maybe this is the particular UGMP non-compliance, or 21 CFR part 210211 non-compliance. But what is exact guideline requirement and how you are not complying this requirement, nobody is sharing the information. Hope you got my point. So if you put exact guideline requirement, then what happen? Employees will understand the exact wording or expectation by the regulatory agencies, and they will focus in a more effective way in the CAPA implementation. Because to identify the observations, everybody is aware, that to identify the non-conformity or the observation is very easy. You can also say, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem, that is the problem. It is very easy problem. This is very easy to identify the problem. So the people will not be much serious to implement the CAPA. But if you give the regulatory guideline reference that this is the practice or procedure in your SOP number so and so, but the guideline expectation is this straight away, so you are not complying to this exact requirement. Please understand this. So they will more focus in implementation of the CAPA. Hope you got my point, right? So this is the first tip. The next is, gap analysis should always focus on systems, procedures, practices, and not the person. Yeah, this is also the the very good point. I would say that very important point. Very good point. See, the expectation here is, when you are performing the gap audit, your focus should be identify the problem in the system, practices, procedures, not the person. You cannot say that this person is not doing good or that person is not doing good. You have to identify why the person is not following the practice or procedure. Because you are not doing the audit. Please understand this. You are not doing the mock audit, or you are not doing some other for cause audits and all. You are doing the gap audit basically. So you are identifying the gap. So today, if that person is not following, suppose one person is not following the procedure or practices or whatever, you are performing the gap audit. So today, if that one person is not following, tomorrow the other person may also not follow. So you have to evaluate why the person is not following, and that way you need to identify the gap. Please understand this. The intention should be identify the opportunity for improvement basically, and not the finger pointing with the people. Hope everyone is clear with these points. If you have any questions, questions, please put in the chat box. I will respond to your all questions. Okay. The next point about the gap analysis is gaps identified should be clear, specific with the actual data so that person should able to take kappa properly. If you give the observation that the gowning practice is not suitable, what does it mean? Or gowning practice is not satisfactory, then how the person will take the kappa? How the person will satisfy you? Person is not there to satisfy you, but person is there to take the action to comply the regulatory requirements. You're getting my point? So you need to specify very clearly and specific with respect to specific data that yes, the gowning practice is not satisfactory with respect to the below points, and then you can write that the person who was entering in the area was having the barefoot while in the change room, or the procedure is lacking to have this controls. You have to specify properly. So why it is required? It will require to understand the severity of the observations and the observations specific to the department, procedures and equipment number, so that the people will able to take the kappa properly. So this is what the point. Why I am telling this, because many people just take around, oh, this should be there, this should be there, this is not there, this is incomplete, this is the problem. Yes, but that has to be recorded properly. What is incomplete, what is there, what is not correct way, what is not followed. It has to be specified properly in a clear and specific way. And if any data related things are there, you have to specify that actual. With respect to, for example, if you are reviewing some data of conductivity testing of a conductivity trend of the water system, and you come to know that there is a sharp sudden excursion, you give that observation that on particular date time there was a sudden excursion in the whatever is the things and all, so that the team can evaluate why there is excursions and all. But if you tell generically that there are the excursions in the conductivity results in the water systems, then the people also, or the team also will take the kappa in a generic way. They will not take a proper kappa. That is what the expectations. Hope this is clear to all of you. The next tip is gaps identified should be clear with respect to identified non-conformity as well as potential non-conformity. So when there is the inspections, always remember, when there is the actual inspections or the for cause audits and all, the point is, if there is a potential error, you will not give the observations, or maybe the observation may be a comment or maybe minor. Suppose if you give the observation that there is a potential risk of cross contamination due to the maybe some problem, the cleaning is not proper, okay, the floor cleaning is not frequency is not sufficient, due to that there is a potential risk, something like that. So you cannot give the observation as a critical. Yeah, that is the risk to the cross contamination, right? With respect to the cross contamination. But as there is no data, no evidence, the observation may be minor or comment. But in the gap audit, what you have to identify? You have to identify the non-conformity which is detected and which is not detected but which can cause in future. That is a potential non-conformity. Why? The reason is you have to take the kappa. Kappa means corrective actions and preventive actions. So when you identify the potential non-conformity and you take the action to control the potential non-conformity, then these actions are called the preventive actions. Hope you understand this point, right? So this is not just the audit process, this is actually the evaluation of the whole process. And someone should not only focus on identifying the observation with the evidence, but also based on review of the procedures, practices, systems to foresee the potential risk of non-conformity. This is what I put in the slide to make you aware about the, when you are performing the gap audit, you have to, okay, you have to put efforts to identify or detect the non-conformity. I am not denying that, but when you are evaluating the practices, procedures and system, you should foresee, you have to just think, is there any possibility of a non-conformity or failure, potential risk, that you have to evaluate when you are performing the gap audit. If you need any the training presentation, again I am requesting you please put in the comment section or chat box. I will share you the training presentation in the link form. You can download the link immediately because link will expire. Also today's date is 2nd of March. So today we are taking this training. So after 1 month, if you are going through this training session, I may not able to share the training presentation. Okay, so that is I'm just telling you. So because I will not have the training material with me. But yes, when I am conducting the online training and the live training, that time if you ask me, that is with me, so I can immediately share to you. The next tip is gap analysis should always result in an action items. When you are identifying some gaps, always there should be results in the action items. Means what? When you are identifying the gap, you should recommend the action, what the persons or the company need to take the action. The gap analysis should not be in a generic way. It should always the way to close the gap, because the purpose of a gap inspection is not to perform the gaps evaluation, not to identify the gaps, but the main purpose is, main benefit is, after identifying the gap, that gaps need to be fulfilled. That is the main purpose of the gap evaluation. I will tell you, so many companies I perform the gap evaluations and all. Frankly, I am telling you upfrontly, and company put lot of efforts, money. Even we also go for the gap audit, we perform the gap inspections and all, and we share the gap report completely, expectations and all regulatory requirements, everything we share. Even we ask them, if you need any support, we will provide you the how to do the take the action plan and all. After that, after gap audit, nobody is focusing on remediation. Then what is the purpose of gap audit, my dear friend? It is of no use to identify the gaps. Please understand this. If you are identifying the gaps, okay, these are the problem, that's it. Problems are not solved, no actions are taken to remove the problem or to remediate the problem. What is the use of that gaps? If you are going to the physician and if the physician is recommending to perform some test on blood and all, and for diagnosis, and then you come to know on the diagnosis, you come to know that there is some problem about some disease or disorders or whatever, and if you not take the medication, there is no use of diagnosis. Same way it is applicable. If you are performing the gap evaluation, gap audits, please focus on remediation, otherwise don't put your efforts, time, money on the gap audits. I am very clear telling all the people, or all the maybe the so many heads are also attending this training, and in my the memberships, subscriptions and all, more than 13,000 subscriptions are there, and most are the heads of the pharma companies. So I am requesting all people, please don't do the gap audit. Please don't do, if you don't want to take remediations, because it is of no use, right? Hope you also you will agree now. At this moment you will also agree with me, right? When gap analysis is done, along with the gaps, the action plan should be made. So this is what I was sharing the thought. So the next point is identify the procedures versus practice. because most of the observations will be with respect to the deviation to the written procedures. So most of the observation, if you go through that, you will come to know that the deviation to the written procedure as per so and so observed specifically a procedure number so and so, this is the requirement, but the person is not following this practice, or procedure number so and so, this is the requirement, but documentation is not made in line with this requirement. So this is the way the observations are there. So I thought that when we are performing the gap audit, you need to focus on this also. Okay, so when a procedure is routinely not being followed or otherwise doesn't match what personnel are actually doing, it is usually the procedure's way of telling you it needs attention. So if somebody is not following the procedures, it is indication that that your attention is required. You need to evaluate while procedures are not in practice. So why procedures are not followed, why procedures are not in practice, that you need to evaluate. You can evaluate, just one slide I put here. I already told you that it requires a lot of discussions, but I am explaining you so that you will understand in a better way and you will not miss anything in this, right? So how you can evaluate that why procedures are not in practice? So you can see, you can ask the questions. Is the procedure still in use? Sometime what happen, maybe procedure may be obsolete, but the procedure, obsolete copy of the procedure may be in the shop floor and you are reviewing that. So that may be the reason that the procedure is not followed. So is the procedure still in use? Is the procedure out of date? Is the procedure unnecessarily long? Is the procedure is long way that people are not even reading, right? Is the procedure unclear, complicated, or difficult to understand? Is the procedure hard to find or locate? Procedure itself is not there. So the people need to search procedure and all, and if they are not getting the procedure, they follow as per their own. You will say that we are providing the training on every SOP or procedure. But my dear friend, if you are working in the pharma, you know that in one department, minimum 80 to 100 number of SOPs are there. 80 to 100 number of 80 to 100. That much minimum number of procedures are available. Plus there are the other cross-functional SOP procedures also. So if you are providing the training, there may be possibility that the person may get confused, may not understand it. So the procedure should be in the location, at the location. Now the new concepts are coming, that people are having the the digital documentations and the paperless documentation and all. Under that scenario, what they do, they put all the procedures in the computers. It is very good. I am not denying that. It is very good that the procedures in computers. But my dear friend, whether these computer interfaces are available on the every operations, are available near all the operations, in all the areas? If not, then you are not providing the procedures in the respective places. Please understand this. It is of no use to go for paperless and all. The very important thing is, when you are doing the paperless system, the interface, the computer or whatever you are putting the interface or screen should be in all the areas, so that the people, if they need to refer the procedure, they can go and they can access the procedure and they can read it. Is the procedure hard to find or locate? So you are not able to identify or find the procedure. Is the procedure currently controlled or uncontrolled? The procedure may not be uncontrolled. Is the procedure too generic, general, or simplistic? In the name of simplification of the procedure, many companies, they have the practice that simplification of documents, the people focus on that simplification of the documentation and all. And there may be possibility that the procedure, under the head of the simplification, they made some generic procedures, and due to that also the people may not be following the practice. Is the procedure incorrect, wrong, or poorly written? Is the procedure poorly designed or hard to navigate? Is the procedure inconsistent in format from others? So these are where you need to identify, you have to evaluate these all the possibilities, that why the procedures are not in practices. Hope you got my point from this, right? So this is the way you these are some 7 tips for conducting the gap audits, right? So now let us discuss on the last tip, right? Last tip is there. Gap identification should be by the third party, the last tip. And I didn't got the picture about the third party, so I thought that I will put our logo here only, because we also provide the gap audit, right? So we are also providing the gap audits. We are having a lot of subject matter experts from different streams, and we are performing the gap audit in so many companies. So I put our logo. So the process is systemic and avoid partiality. So why it is expected to by the third party? Because it will be the systemic and it will avoid partiality. Because what happened, I also work in a pharma company, I was work in a different company departments and all. So what happened, if we identify the gap in particular department, they will consider that purposely I am finding the problem in that department. Suppose if identifying some observation in specific, suppose machine, the person will say purposely I find out this problem in that machine. He know that he don't like me, so he identified the problem. This is actually fact when we perform the gap audit or perform the gap evaluation internally. That is the reason I always suggest that it should be done by the third party, and also it is recommended by even the PICS also. Hope you remember the PICS requirement, right? PICS guideline. And also the FD also recommend in the most of the or all the warning letters to hire the consultant to evaluate holistically the gaps and prepare the remediation plan, correct? So why it is required? Because the process is systemic and avoid partiality. The employees can openly discuss with the external person. What happened when you are performing the gap inspection? You have to take all people in the confidence that whatever you are giving the inputs, this is for only improvement. Your name, the person's name should not be in any report. Person's name should not be in any report unless and until it is really a big serious problem, right? So what happened, if internal people are performing the gap evaluation now, they may not be open, because always no, there are some relations, internal relations are there, so they may not open. So when the third party peoples are coming and they take all the people in confidence, then they can share the information that due to this problem, this is the things and all. So that is also one benefit, so that these problems or these gaps can be escalated to higher ups. Of course, third eye view always help. You can perform the gap analysis by your subject matter experts, but I told you that subject matter experts are already performing the self inspections and internal audits and all. So that is the reason third party involvement is required. And this is what I am telling, not today as being as a consultant, but when I was working in the pharma, that time also I was suggesting the same thing, right? So these were the 7 tips to perform the gap evaluation or gap analysis in the organization. This I collected from some FDA groups. Some information I got it from the FDA groups, and some information from search from the media and all. Okay. Now we will discuss about the remediation. So keys in implementation of action plan or remediation. And the first key is discussion with the management. So what happened when you prepare the gap evaluation and all, you have to identify the criticality of the observations, and then you have to share these things, discuss with the management, because management support is the prime support. You also will agree with the same thing, right? So management should support for kappa as well as continual improvement. Many people will use the word that if we do this, then it will be the overdoing. My dear friend, there is no anything as the overdoing in the GMP. Please understand this. Please understand this. There is no anything as the overdoing. in GMP. Earlier, people were not using the computerized systems, automations, and all. And now, all the companies you can see, earlier means about, suppose, take an example of a 10 years back. And now, if you see, the most of the people, most of the companies are going with the automations and computerized system. So, if earlier 10 years back, if somebody is telling you to implement a computerized system, people will think that why it is required. It is overdoing in the GMP. But now everybody is doing this. So there is no anything like overdoing in GMP. It is required actually. At what extent you are taking to implement the action plan, it is required, right? So management support also required for providing the resources also. So if you evaluate the resources and all, and if you come to know that resources are less, then the management can support you to providing the resources also. Management should track overall kappa plan during every management review meetings. So management will track all the kappa plans during management review meetings. Management should support for long-term action plans. There are most of the long-term action plan where it will require for investment or budget and all. So that is the reason you need to discuss this remediation plan or action plan with the management to get the management support. Then second step of implementing the remediation or action plan is prepare the compliance team. So you need to prepare the compliance team. The people who work with me, they know very well that I used to you prepare the one team. I used to call them as the Avengers. So hope you are aware about the Avengers, where the different subject matter experts from different team members. I used to collect them, and I used to form the team, and I used to tell them that you are the Avengers of our plant, our manufacturing site, and you have to now fight for the compliance. That's it. So that way you need to prepare the compliance team. So you need a special cross-functional team. You can choose specific persons from the existing departments. Sometimes what happen, if you think about choosing the people from existing different departments, people will come with the thought that no, we don't have sufficient manpower, we don't have sufficient resources. I suggest evaluate the processes, map the processes what they are doing. You will come to know that you have sufficient resources. Only somewhere the people are overloaded, and somewhere people are less responsibilities. So you need to harmonize, or the properly justify the responsibilities, and you can take one or two people, or otherwise you simply tell that you have a 15 people team. Suppose this one person is not coming, I want this person in my team. Suppose the one person is on leave for 2 months. What you will do? Are you going to close your department? Department head will say no. That's it. Consider that this particular one or two people are for long leave for 5-6 months, or they left the job. That's it. And that way you can take the team, you can take the people from the different team and prepare a compliance team. Okay. So this is what is presented in the slide. Just like production, quality control, quality assurance, this compliance team will also have a specific responsibility, so that there will be due responsibility to close the gaps by implementing the action plan. So just like there are written job descriptions in a quality control, to test the raw material, to sample the raw material, to sample the packaging material, to test the packaging material, to release the raw material and packaging material, to test the finished product. Correct? Some written job responsibilities are there in the quality control. So whether testing will be done by the production? No. Production will have the separate job description, like to ensure the compliance in the shop floor, to ensure the productivity in the shop floor, whatever. So same way, if you prepare a separate team called a compliance team, then the compliance team responsibility will be to evaluate the compliance, to track the compliance, to follow for the compliance, to support for the compliance actions, so that the compliance action plan or compliance activity will be speed up. This is what I am telling you. If you ask me to be very frank, even the quality assurance department were not in exist about 25 years back. But now you can see that there are So new department like quality assurance is there. Then new departments like compliance teams in many companies they have. In many companies even the investigation teams have. In some companies they have data integrity teams are there. Why? Because it is now the today's need to have a separate team. Hope you understand the point with this action plan, right? Again, I'm telling you, if you need any training material, please put in the chat box. I will share a link. You can download from that link training presentation. Okay. Then third point with respect to implementation is break down the kappa in short actions. What does it mean? So here project name you can see here, task 1 and 2, then here subtask 1.1, 1.2, and here some other. So what is meant by this? Simple, I will give an example. That is the reason I am telling you that don't only read the training presentation what I am providing. You have to listen what I am telling this, because so many things what I am telling that will not be in a part of the slide also. Okay, so from this you will not come to know what is that break down the kappa into the short action items. So for example, suppose kappa is the procedure number XYZ need to be updated or revised. So what are the short action items? Action items are raise the change control, take the approval by the quality assurance, correct? Revise the procedure, take the signatures of the procedures or approval of the procedures, training on the procedure, and then implementation of the procedure and issuance of the all copies of the training, of all the copies of the control copies of the procedure in the respective areas. So there are 7 points, 7 short action plan for one action point. One action point is what? SOP revision. But there are, if you see, there are 7 action points. So this way you can break down so that you will able to track it, where the activity is stuck up, why there is lot of time in raising the change control, why there is why there is a time more require, why there is a time to approval of the change control, why training is still not done on the SOP procedure. That way you can track and you can speed up the activity. Okay, you got my point? So this is the step for implementing the action plan. Periodically prepare the kappa summary report. You have to prepare a kappa summary report periodically. What is the benefit? It helps in kappa implementation and tracking the option items. So it helps the implementation of the kappa and tracking the open items. Further, it helps in effectiveness of the kappa. So it helps in kappa effectiveness also. So whether kappa is effective or not, for that purpose also it is helpful. Third point is very important, my peculiar point. It helps in further putting the thought process about 2 plus 2 equal to 5 approach. You will say, what rubbish, 2 plus 2 equal to 4, everybody knows that, right? What does it mean? 2 plus 2 equal to 5 means what? It means that there may be, suppose, action item kappa action 1, kappa 2, kappa 3, kappa 4. But when you prepare a kappa summary, you can suggest a specific kappa, 1 kappa or 2 kappa, instead of putting the the 5 kappas, which will solve all the purpose. A best idea from multiple kappas, so that even with that implementation of 1 or 2 action items, all the problems will get solved. That is the thought process with respect to the 2 plus 2 equal to 5 approach. Okay, so this is the ideology. Okay, ideology about the kappa summary report. So you can prepare the, so when you prepare a kappa, because what happened when you work on the kappa activity, kappa implementation, remediation and all, so that time your thought was to implement it. But when you prepare a summary of actions and all, and so many actions are closed, So you are more focused about the strengthening the kappa. That is the benefit of this kappa summary report. And of course, be helpful to submit to the management during the management review meetings, so that management will also come to know what is the status of this kappa. The next step with respect to the remediation is the training to the team. Always remember that you have to train the team to grow. If you perform the gap evaluation, then by the third party you get the observations from the third party, and then you get the and you start working or implementing on the the action plans by the compliance team and all. The other team member will say, this is the responsibility of compliance team, let them do na, our responsibility is this, so we will work on our routine work. No, not like that, because the audit or the inspections, all people will get involved. That it is a team. Team is involved, right? Compliance team is only supporting this, right? So if you provide the training, then the whole team engagement of the whole team will increase. The whole team will say, yes, I am also the part of the improvement in the organization. Team also can suggest the good opportunities for improvement or action plan. Even team can also suggest the opportunities or the improvement in the action plan. And as the engagement of the team will be there, efficiency and upgradation of the team will be there. Correct? So team will get engaged, all people will get engaged, there will be upgradation in the team, efficiency and the way of working will get improved, and it can reduce the human errors, because most of the human errors are due to the lack of the training. I am not telling all. This is again the big separate topic about the reducing the human errors, but this is the one aspect by which you can reduce the human error by providing the training. So training not with respect to the actual topic, but training to engage the team about the compliance focus. Training to make them aware that how they are working is a very important, so that they can increase their efficiency, they can put their thought processes, and that way you can upgrade the team. Hope you got my point. Okay, so this is the action plan. And the next is periodic review by third party. So very important thing is, when you are preparing the action plan, the periodic review by the third party is very important, because the action plan implementation is done by the compliance team and all. So the third party need to evaluate the way of implementation, progress of implementation need to be reviewed. Why it is required? Because from the way of implementation, how it is implemented and what is the way of implementation or progress of implementation, there may be possibility to identify the additional gaps or non-conformity. For example, if there is some action plan and for that the change control is raised, so there may be possibility that only one particular procedure is revised, the impact assessment is not proper. So you will come to know that the way of the implementation is not correct. Or sometime as a implementation plan only training is conducted, that is also not the correct way to implement it. Training is only to upgrade the people, to make them aware, and to upgrade them, not as a kappa plan. Hope you got my point. And also, when the third party will be evaluating the progress of a kappa plan, the speed of the action plan increases, because yes, somebody is coming in our plan to evaluate, to review these things. So whatever is the pending, what is the pending from your side, what is the pending from your side, when you are going to complete. So you, at least the compliance team will collect all the information with the target timelines, so that they will ask with the third party that these are the timelines given by our team members. So from the timeline, it is very easy to track it. So the point here is, when the third party or somebody is coming from the outside, the speed of the action plan increases. Hope you understand about the remediation plan and the remediation action about the today's discussion. Before moving ahead, to share a YouTube membership program. If you check in the YouTube channel Hitendra Kumar Shah, you will come to know that there is a three levels: GMP, CGMP, and advanced GMP. Many people ask me about the training certification for the different trainings I am conducting, because they need a certification. So so that is the reason I am suggesting all people that if you are the part of a CGMP and advanced GMP, means level 2 and level 3. So if you are the part of level 2 and level 3, that is CGMP and advanced GMP, then you can give me then one month we are conducting the free training on the total 8 topics, because weekly we are conducting 2 topics. So you can choose any one topic. On that I can issue the certification with my signature, if you are having the membership program on CGMP and advanced GMP. Also, so many people ask me some questions that we have this stability information, these things and all, how to do it and all. So if you need some specific guidances and all, then you can opt for advanced GMP program. Remember, you are going to pay these to YouTube, right? You are going to pay this to YouTube. I have just created this program under the my channel Hitendra Kumar Shah. So you can just go through Hitendra Kumar Shah, and there you will find the join button, and from join button you can click GMP, CGMP and advanced GMP, where there are different facilities are there. Under CGMP and advanced GMP, I told you that if you need a certification, one certification in a 1 month can be issued for level 2 and level 3 membership programs, right? And this was our today's discussion today, and thank you so much for your kind presence. If you want to further information, you can connect to our channel Hitendra Kumar Shah. Please subscribe this YouTube channel. Why I am requesting all people to subscribe? The reason is, sometime what happen, you may not get the link. I am sharing the link to many people through the social media and all, but if you subscribe it, then you will get the automatic notification from the YouTube that this is the training plan. This is the plan by Hitendra Kumar Shah on so and so date. So you will get a notification. That is the benefit I am telling you, that please subscribe this YouTube channel so that you should not miss this any topic. Of course, you can share the link to the team member so that they also can benefit from the learning. Okay, so let us discuss about some question and answer session. Already 9 o'clock is there, so 1 hour is over. So Mr. Satish Kumar is telling thank you, Mr. Satish Kumar. Mr. Ranjit Patel is asking for the training. Okay, so I am sharing the link so that from the link you can download the training presentation. Okay. Hope you got the link to download the presentation. Yeah, Mr. Somme Rajan Dash also asking for the training presentation. Mr. Suresh is asking link is not visible. Yeah, just now I shared the link to download it. So Sarah is telling that hi from Morocco. Thank you for connecting this training session, and tune to the Hitendra Kumar Shah channel, because every Wednesday and every Saturday we are having a free learning sessions, and if somebody needs the training certification, then you can opt for the membership program for CGMP and advanced GMP. Advanced GMP is for the people who need some guidance, then they can take this advanced GMP program. But remember, you are paying this to the YouTube, so you can just click it and you can pay the amount whatever is there in the YouTube. You need to pay to the YouTube. Hope you got my point, right? I think there are no any questions at this moment. So after this, if you have any questions, please put your questions in the comment section. Okay, I will respond to your questions in the comment section, right? Because this chat, the people may not able to access now this chat. So hope everyone got the training presentation link. You can download this link. Remember, this link will be valid only for some couple of days. So I suggest that immediately download the training presentation and keep it with you, right? Pro Gamer OP is telling thanks for the topic. Thank you so much, all people. Thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance. Again, I'm requesting all people to subscribe this YouTube channel if you have not subscribed it, and share this link to all people, your colleagues in your groups, so that they also can benefit from this learning session. My purpose to discuss these all topics so that the people should aware about all the things on absolutely to upgrade the pharmaceuticals. Thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance. Thank you so much. Now I am ending the session. If you have now any question, please put in the comment section, right? I will respond to you. Thank you so much.